The end of 2021 has a massive tone shift towards the more serious and more grounded. This full moon in Gemini closes out the year on a note of letting go of whatever pettiness we were holding on to for the past year and a half, as it's really time to get down to business for the beginning of 2022. So if you're excited to dive into what we can exactly expect from this full moon in Gemini, make sure that you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you are always up to date with what the stars have in store for you. Firstly, we're going to go into the overall vibe of this full moon and then discuss how it's playing into some individual relevant charts. If you are new here, hello, I am Maren. I am a tropical astrologer using mostly ancient Hellenistic astrology techniques, using whole sign houses, all that traditional shit. I also always do monthly rising sign forecasts, so if you want to see your December one or your January one, depending on when you're watching this, those will be out soon around this time as well. And before we get started, 2 websites I want to mention before we do get into this. First, Swan Bitcoin. It is where I dollar cost average and repeatedly buy Bitcoin. You can use my ref link down below for $10 free of free Bitcoin. Also, Cointelegraph Markets Pro. It's a tool I use to track the news and Twitter sentiment of coins and front run the markets. If you're interested in that, ref link is down below as well. I use that alongside astrology. This full moon in Gemini with the sun in Sagittarius, 27 degrees, and the moon Gemini at 27 degrees is on December 19th, 2021 at 12:34 a.m. Eastern or 8:34 a.m. Dubai time where I am. I'm recording this like 2 months early in Dubai before a crazy November so I can just get this to my editor, but I will be back in the Eastern time zone when this does come out. Now, this is happening with the sun in the 3rd decan of Sagittarius and the moon in the 3rd decan of Gemini, and this is associated with the 10 of Wands and the 10 of Swords. And the 10 of Wands is the Lord of Oppression card. It is ruled by Saturn. It is a polar outcome. You either did or you didn't win. You won or you lost, and this is being blatantly clear about that outcome. There's no mercy. It is just laying it on a platter. The 10 of Swords as well is the matter coming to an end, but if you look at this like actual card, it's showing like on it that everything is going to be okay. So we might be at a loss. We might have not won this battle of the past year and a half because this does kind of add an encore to the end of the past year and a half cycle. I don't think it's close enough to the nodes to be considered an eclipse, but it is the final lunation in this eclipse cycle, so to speak. I think that the solar eclipse was more of the final eclipse kind of thing, but this is the matter coming to a conclusion. The issue has run its course, and this is our final send-off of the information, the thought loops, and how we were thinking about the past year and a half, essentially. So this exploration of like both sides has led to a conclusion, but we need to let that pettiness go. And I think it finally feels like we're letting go of this belief system or a way of thinking that was the past year and a half. That even though Neptune is still square to the sun and the moon within 7 degrees, which is confusing, it's a bit diluting, it is not direct, and Mars is on the south node, which is a lack of action or more spiritual internal action rather than overt events. You know, I still do think that it's the ending of a chapter of ideological loyalty in our lives, but this is the nail in the coffin of like, oh, that was still there, I need to get rid of that before we enter the new year and things really get down to business. Now, Venus and Pluto are still conjunct in Capricorn, which I will have a full video out on by now, and Venus will be stationing retrograde very shortly after this, but there's a maniacal quality to go after what will materially benefit us with Venus, Pluto, and Capricorn at all costs. Now, if we are transparent about that, we can make a lot of people a lot of gains. We can make a lot of money if we have people on our team and are open about that. We can also have karma bite us in the ass because in a Saturn-ruled sign, karma will get you. Like if you try to like manipulate or fuck around with this. But with Venus, Pluto, there's no wavering from the plan. Eyes are on the prize. And if we can be transparent and open about our agenda, we can harness a lot of really pure intention around this. I do really like that the moon is trine Jupiter, so it looks like an ending that is the letting go of the final details of the past year and a half, our thoughts, our feelings, our conclusions, as we go after much more large-scale material things for entering 2022. Now, if you have any thoughts, any feelings, anything to add around this full moon in Gemini, do let me know down below. I'm curious about what house, what area of your chart this is happening in, and where you're finally clearing out some last conclusions. Now, in the United States' chart, this is within 6 degrees of the United States' natal Mars in Gemini in the 7th house. When the 7th house is activated in this chart, as with many political or national charts, it tends to be the opposing party that is not in power or some kind of like party oppositional issue going on. I think it highlights that there is some kind of political discord highlighted that is specific around the end of the year, Mars is also within 8 degrees of the United States' ascendant, which is usually the party in power, or like the incumbent or the leader. So with Venus on top of the United States' Pluto in the second house, there's a financial focus. And I think that if I had to like put context, that there's some kind of democratic initiative that leads to anger or issue on the Republican part. And Jupiter is right on the United States' moon, ruling the 8th house of the market. I'm gonna guess there's some kind of increased spending or not like a conservative financial event happening that does anger the Republicans or people that are more conservative or on the right in a financial sense. I am looking at Joe Biden's chart again because with so much going on in Sagittarius end of the year and him having a Sag rising along with planets in Scorpio that are highlighted, I am very curious and I don't want to say concerned. I mean, everyone is kind of concerned about his like mental health. I'm gonna be honest, like not even, this is just objective, but Mars is right on his ascendant and Mars is trouble, and this is being aggressive or assertive, like he's being intentional with something that he's doing. Venus Pluto is opposite his natal Jupiter in the second house, 8th house, so it looks like he majorly is profiting or does something that increases value for him in the material sense. Interestingly, the moon will be on his natal Lilith in the 7th house, and with Lilith being a prominent female in the 7th house of partnerships or like duo, I think that this leads us to look at Kamala Harris's chart, so I did look at her chart as well. And out of interest, when I did look at this, I found that the moon is exactly almost right on her ascendant, which shows that the matter at hand involves her identity and her showing up in a physical sense. The sun is right on her lot of fortune in the 7th house. I think that this indicates that she's getting something fortunate out of a duality or a partnership, aka something Biden is doing then benefits her, I'm guessing. Jupiter is on her natal Saturn in the 9th house. So the growth of being recognized as a consistent, serious leader in 9th house matters, which could be foreign policy-wise, it could just be institutionally she's recognized. I think she's definitely in the spotlight, and I am wondering if this is finally the moment we're waiting for, where there's some kind of clear, like, stepping up into power. It's gonna happen sometime between now and 2023, in my opinion. We'll see. I want to do a full video on that, because that's what I've been saying since I look at Kamala Harris's zodiacal releasing in 2019-2020, and it's becoming more and more apparent. Now, for the S&P 500, Jupiter right on the natal Mercury, financial announcement of some sort, I'm gonna guess. Jupiter exactly opposite its natal Pluto. I think something is announced around this time that has grave consequences later on a financial level. Now, in Bitcoin's chart, full moons are usually local bottom, but given the messiness of the end of the year, the lunar correlation does not seem to be the most relevant in my opinion. In fact, it may be inverting. I'm doing this in October when there was recently an inversion of the lunar cycle. I look at correlations. If I get new data, I will reanalyze, but pivots do tend to happen around new and full moons nonetheless, whether up or down. Venus is approaching its natal Jupiter, which looks promising, and Mars is trining its natal Jupiter exact. So I like this to power up. Looks like a bullish into the full moon, possibly on an intraday level. I will say that the end of December looks very, very challenging, and I'm very cautious. But within this full day range or so of this, looks like there could be a rally. For Ethereum, Jupiter is opposing it within 1 degrees, Jupiter opposition within 1 degree at 27-28 Leo Aquarius, and it's probably also a local bottom or some kind of like bullish action leading into this, or out of this. Local bottom in the sense that we do get a pump after, but I am cautious end of the year again. So same sentiment surrounding this, the days look pretty decent, but end of the year I am cautious. So now let's pull a tarot card to see what this full moon in Gemini will be wrapped up as. We have the Two of Swords inverted, and this is corresponding to the first decan of Libra. I have my moon in this area of the chart. Upright, it deals with keeping your mouth shut, keeping a pretty face, and letting everything seem like it's great. Inverted, it's like the elephant in the room is blatant and we're discussing this. So it looks like this is bringing an issue out into the open, and that it might involve finance and political parties fighting in the United States' chart. And in each of our lives, it's the ending to a kind of held belief system that is no longer going to serve us. I hate that saying, but like literally won't in a material sense for 2022. So hope that this is helpful. If it is, do let me know down below how it's playing into your chart, what you want to look at. Let me know for the year ahead what you're excited about. See you in the next one, and take care.